In this monumental book by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man in America, he wrote an article titled, Help Self. What must be done with the so-called Negroes? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote, quote, in order to start doing for ourselves, we must start with the acquisition of land. Since our being brought in chains to the shores of America, our brain power, labor, skills, talent, and wealth have been taken, given, and spent toward building and adding to the civilization of another people. It is time, he said, for you and me, the so-called Negroes, to start doing for ourselves. We must not let our children be, as we are, beggars of another man for his home, facilities, clothing, food, and the means of providing a living. Man depends on land for the necessities of life, food, clothing, and shelter for survival, a prime requisite for freedom. And independence is having one's own land. There can be no freedom without a people having their own land. The acquisition of land has been the major factor for more wars on our planet than any other cause. Economists agree that in order for any type of nation or system, capitalism or communism, democracy or totalitarian or what have you, to exist and have a degree of independence, there must be ownership of land. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad continued. He said, as a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This would create jobs in production. And we must remember that without land, there is no production. And the surplus of what we produce, we could sell. And of course, this would open up areas of trade and commerce for us. Land ownership, my beloved brothers and sisters, is the pathway to wealth.
Welcome to our third edition of BBI Talks. I'm your Professor Karriemah Lotus, and we've got a wonderful guest on our show today. This is part 3 of our Green Gold series, where we are focused on helping us as Black people have a more favorable appreciation for land and returning to the land. And we have an awesome guest by the name of Brother Patrick, the farmer, Muhammad from Your Faith Farms. And the topic of the day is thinking outside the dirt. And I teased Brother Patrick because he came up with the name, and I said, TM, ding. Let's get it cracking, y'all. What's going on? Assalamu alaikum, Brother Patrick.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Even better seeing your face. How you doing, big brother?
Oh, we thank Allah for another opportunity and another day to do something worthy of being afforded and rewarded another day of life. And so we
Yes,
never take one moment, 1 hour, one day for granted, because during this time, the earth is casting off its burden. And we do not want to be in the category of being a burden on this earth, but to be a blessing on the earth.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I chose that. I don't know if you could hear it or not, but I played uh, a clip from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan where he talks about how land and land ownership is the pathway to wealth. And
Oh,
I
praise
couldn't think of a better way to start today's episode. Look, no pressure.
it. Wow.
I couldn't think
Wow.
of a better way to start today's episode than with that quote. And originally I was going to send it to you, but then I said, no, because he's going to be on the show. That's going to be his lead in. And so I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because I want you to please share with our audience how you and your family even came about getting 30 acres and a mule.
Yes, thank you. And pardon me, as a farmer, you never stand still. So
Yes,
if you see me walking, it's not because I suffer from anything other than a lazy man don't eat and a lazy man can't farm. So
I know
you
that's
have to
right.
be a master of multitasking. And so I'm walking, checking animals. I do have two sisters here volunteering, so they're working. I'm kind of watching them. So if you see me moving,
Oh, you cut
started.
out for a minute. Okay, here we go.
Okay. How we got started, we listened to a lecture from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, um, Time and What Must Be Done, number 36. And it's farming is the engine to our national life. And
Yes,
in that video, the minister um, encouraged the whole world to buy land and to have land ownership and some of the benefits of land ownership. And that video, I watched it maybe one time, and it made an immediate impact. And we began the conversation in our home about buying land. And so
mm,
by the second, third, and fourth time that we watched that video, it was just continuing to imprint the fact that we must do it. And so
that's
my
right.
wife and I, Sister Ishtar, had those conversations, and we began to step out on faith and go in that direction. We had no guidance, no roadmap, no previous history, no family inheritance. We literally stepped out on faith. And in the conversation of land, then God began to line people up that had
Awesome.
some means, some method, some knowledge, some contact with land. And we end up meeting my farm mentor and his wife, Wayne and Charmaine Swanson, who are our best friends to
Awesome.
this day, and they changed our life. And so we went from a 30-foot yard subdivision to 31 acres and a mule. And so we've
Wow.
been here now 6 years.
6 years. And I know that you've probably learned a lot, which is one of many reasons why we invited you on the show today. The topic today, for those of you who are just joining us, is thinking outside the dirt, profiting from your land. And when we had this conversation, you thought of that name, right? What were
Mhm.
you thinking about when thinking outside the dirt came to mind?
Well, thinking outside the dirt came to mind. The sisters are asking me a question. I'm going to show you what thinking outside the dirt. Can I flip my camera on this thing? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to turn my camera. Okay. So the volunteer sisters are thinking outside the dirt. Right now, they are bagging up hemp soil.
Wonderful.
But now I'm going to have them sisters. If you come here, you see the small bags. You can bag the pecans, okay, right there in front, and just
Mm,
fill up those small bags. So they are filling, and you can grab a chair so you can be as comfortable as possible in those chairs. So the sisters are now picking pecans. Now, they're picking pecans from these fruit trees in our front yard that I didn't plant. These trees are over 30 years old, and they continue to yield pecans year after year after year. Okay. And as the price of pecans go up, it doesn't matter. My trees do not function based off the market value. They continue to function. Okay. So we have pecan trees, we have black walnut trees, persimmon trees, fig trees. Okay. And so from the fruit trees alone, there's an economy. We're also bagging up dirt. We're bagging up dirt. We sell dirt to gardeners and farmers, people with home gardens. We have livestock on our property, from cows to sheep to chickens to horses. And one of the things that we have continued to do is we're entrepreneurs. And so as farmers, we can't stop our entrepreneur mentality. So we kind of tag ourselves as farmerpreneurs now, right? And so my wife is a phenomenal canner. So she cans all of our excess vegetables or excess fruit. She's now canning fruits and vegetables from people in the community. So that's another economy that's been created. We rescued a horse a year ago, one horse, and just as a pleasure, right, to ride and enjoy it. Now we have 20 horses on the property. We have a new horse business. So on the weekend now, my son runs our horse business. He does rides for children. He does rides for adults. And we do therapy rides as well. That came from buying land, just following the first instruction. Our main business is grass-fed beef and lamb. You know, I grew up in East St. Louis. There was no cows running around East St. Louis, right? But from the instruction from the minister, from the instruction from the minister buying the land, we have to tap into the mind that told him to buy the land. And if you tap into that mind, that's the law. So if you tap into Allah, he will give you the next instruction. And so we went from just having cows to now we process cows. We went from having lamb to now we process it. We went from just having chicken eggs to now we hatch baby chickens, and now we sell baby chickens. So thinking outside the dirt is a concept of bringing the entrepreneur spirit to the land movement.
That's awesome. And actually, I've taken the liberty of jotting down some notes as you've been going along. So number one, the importance of planting and or harvesting fruit trees. And that's something that's creates generational wealth. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing here at our orchard, Magnolia Crescent, is growing fruit trees. And we you know, it's funny because I checked you out on your Instagram. And for those of y'all who are not already following him, but by all means, follow him on Instagram at Your Faith Farms, as well as subscribe to his YouTube channel, Your Faith Farms. Look, I'm giving you the plug already.
Oh, thank you for the plug. Thank you.
Look, I don't mind sharing the love. There's enough love to go around, big brother. But it's important that you subscribe because I was watching an Instagram post that you gave where you were shaking the persimmon trees to get the fruits to come down. And it was funny because we have two of them, and we couldn't figure out how to get them before the deer do.
Yeah.
So now, I was like, oh, geez, that's what's up.
Right, and don't tell your husband I told you this one, because then I don't want y'all not to go to the persimmon tree, right? So the reason why I knocked them down as well is not only the deers, but the persimmons is one of the favorite diets of the coyotes. You don't want an abundance of persimmon fruit on the ground, because now you attract wildlife to your persimmon trees to consume the persimmons. And so if you do add chickens, now you have showed them where your chickens are, and now you have a problem on your hands. So you get the little picker and you shake, right? Because when your pecans hit the ground, you only have a certain amount of time before they go bad. So you want to begin to shake them before. On your fruit trees, your apples, you don't want the apples to hit the ground. You want to get them before. So sometimes farming is knowing when to harvest, right? The harvest is bountiful, but if you don't know when to harvest, then that bountiful harvest could then become a problem.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you also mentioned that your beautiful wife, Sister Ishtar, who I absolutely love and adore, that she is a master canner. And when we're talking about the raw goods versus the finished goods, you're able to ask for more when it's something that is a finished product. So whether it be
Mm-hmm.
gourmet preserve, things of that nature. And I think that's a part of that thinking outside the dirt is being able to see even your fruit beyond just the fruit, but also
Yeah.
seeing it as a part of some other finished product that you can create. Is that something that has been something that you've been thinking about and
Yeah.
processing as well?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the lessons that we learned early on when we were,
Uh-huh.
just kind of following the steps of, hey, you go to a farmer's market. That's what farmers do, right? And so for
Right.
us, fortunately, our farmers market, we were taking meat, right? So if I take grass-fed beef and grass-fed lamb, there's a certain price point that I ask for, right? $8 a pound for grass-fed beef, $10 a pound for grass-fed lamb. So typically at the end of a farmer's market, our table we're gonna make, $300-400. Well, my
Okay.
counterparts, I would see them and they have this table full of cabbage and tomatoes and broccoli and okra that they've grown, for months and months, and the labor and the de-weeding that had to go into that. And they're selling it for, $8 a bushel, $12, for 5, 6, 7. But at the end of the day, they might have cleared their table and made $100. And I felt
Mm.
bad, you know. And I knew like I'm not gonna grow vegetables if that's all I'm gonna make. If I'm gonna do that, those are
Right.
only gonna be for consumption of the family. And so we began to study value added products, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're selling vegetables, if you don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres to sell vegetables to a restaurant and to a grocery store, then you have to create those value added products so that you're earning more for harvesting less. So now you take
Right.
a chow chow or a slaw or a jelly that you're using less of the yield, but you're charging a higher premium for that jam, that jelly, that slaw. And so that's my recommendation for the small homestead kind of farms to see what you can do value added with the products that you can raise and or grow. And so speaking of my wife in that, so we have hair sheep and we have wool sheep. And the hair sheep we use primarily for meat, but the wool sheep we use for wool and the meat. So we're learning how to shear.
Mm-hmm.
She's learning how to spin the
Mm-hmm.
wool, and then of course, she's
Mm-hmm.
already a seamstress, and we'll have that value-added
Right.
product in there.
Awesome. Awesome. So now, is this something that you and your family kind of knew before you acquired your land, or are these things that you have just been learning along the way? And this is really important for those who know nothing about the land, know nothing about the different ways in which you can, whether it be harvest from the land or even produce goods. Did you learn all of this when you got on your land, or were there some things that you actually brought into this situation?
Um, I think the best way to answer it is we're that family that the plant that you get at a funeral, and like, oh, this is in memory of your family member, and that plant never supposed to die. Like we're that family where that plant died, right? We're that family in the subdivision that they go to work and they be gone so long that the dog was tied up to a line and the dog dehydrated and the neighbor called a pound. Like we were that family, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
we, I say step, but we leaped out on faith, knowing nothing
Mhm.
of cattle, knowing nothing of chickens, knowing nothing of lamb, knowing nothing. We believe in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Master Farad Muhammad. And if the minister said it can be done, you'll be successful, we believe it. And
That's
so
right.
everything that I'm sharing with you all is not from my college experience, not from my
Mhm.
great grandfather passing down the wisdom of the agri science. I'm telling you all what we learned from trial and error, from victory and failure, from success and from retreat.
Awesome.
And so I say that with so much passion because I hope your viewers know it's doable.
Right.
Don't let someone else's success or failure determine your attitude and determine the amount of energy you put towards something. So there could be a farmer next door to me, across the street, around the corner, who has failed multiple times. But I believe in failing forward. So if we fail, we're
Mhm.
going to fail forward. We're going to learn from where we hit our head on the ground. We're going to start from there. We're going to
Right.
stand back up and we're going to fail again. And as long as we keep failing forward, we're making progress. And so these last 6 years have been progress in the making.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, I want to speak about your mentor because I think in any business endeavor, having a good mentor is critical. How did you meet your mentor, and how has that been really the blessing to you and to your family?
Oh, my goodness. My mentor is Wayne Swanson. Did not know Wayne before 2013. I actually was introduced to Wayne by a mutual frat brother, and I did a cold call. I called him on the phone and said, "Hey, man, my name is Patrick." Classic introduction, right? My name is Patrick. I heard you got a farm. I want to talk to you about farming. He was like, "Hey, I'm out of town. You can come see me on Saturday." I go see him on Saturday. And we walk in his property. It's 36 acres of this beautiful farm. His cows running around, and he's just walking with a casual, stroll from the block, and it's like a slit malt liquor bull sitting in front of us, right? And he just casually walking up to the bull, and I'm amazed. Brother Leroy is with me when we went, and so I was waiting for the opportunity to say, like, "Hey, man, like, who died? Or what insurance did you get, or you hit the lottery, or that kind of stuff." And he was like, "No, man, my family and I made a decision. We saved some money. We bought a farm." And for me,
Mhm.
he made it doable. And by the end
Oh,
of our tour of his farm, he was like, "Listen, brother, I'll make you an offer. If you're interested, I'll take you to my source. We'll buy some cows and we'll put them on my land. You have to come out here and help me, but you put them on my land." That was 6.5 years ago. So in October, he made that declaration. December, we bought the 8 cows, and I was at his house every weekend. By April of that year, we had found our farm, and by July, we had moved to our farm. And Wayne and I have done hundreds of thousands of dollars together with only a handshake, no contract, no arguments, no money loss. If he goes buy 8 cows, 4 of those are mine. If I go buy 20 sheep, 10 of those are his. Like it's an unwritten
beautiful.
love and commitment to each other. And both of our farms have been successful at the same time, going up at the same time. If somebody pulls in his yard to buy a whole cow at $2,500 and they live in Fairburn, he's gonna say, "No, you can go to Pat and spend that $2,500 with him." If somebody calls me and say, "Hey, I
Beautiful.
got $2,500, I want a cow, and I live in Stockbridge," just call Wayne. He's at the house right now. Go
Mhm.
do it with him. And that
Beautiful.
love and commitment in each other's presence and in the absence of each other has made our relationship one that should be studied because it's a model that has truly been successful.
Mhm.
And
And to
he's
me,
a Christian and
oh,
I'm a Muslim. And we've had zero
beautiful.
arguments or division with those things that separate us.
And I think what I hear within your story, your testimony, which is absolutely beautiful, is the importance of having a brotherhood and a sisterhood. Because when you have that brotherhood and you have that sisterhood, then a lot of the challenges that people have in business will no longer be an issue. But then there's something else that I hear, and that is having moral character and integrity is important. That is
Oh
also
my
important in
goodness.
business. And
Yes.
so when we're talking about thinking outside the dirt, yeah, we're talking about products. That's true, but we're also talking about what mentality is important to have in order to be successful. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. And I just wanted to show the sisters. Can y'all hold up the bags that y'all made? Can y'all hold up the pecan bags? So the sisters have been bagging pecans. So if you want to take those little bags that's left, and if you can do the same dirt, but just do it in those small bags. Okay. Pardon me. Pardon for the commercial break. Those are organic pecans and hemp infused
Beautiful.
topsoil. If you're looking for that for your gardening pleasures. Um, but yes, the integrity. So I have a character. I'm not going to call it a flaw. It's just my character stamp. Okay. I believe that your cup runneth over if you're pouring some out. I don't
Mm.
believe your cup is runneth over if you have your hand or a lid on top. Right. I
Right.
believe that it
Right.
overflows because I'm pouring some out and God keeps pouring more in. And
Mm-hmm.
so we don't get ideas or concepts or business opportunities and we're selfish and keep it to ourselves. Big
Right.
fields await the wide awake man and woman to work out, right? And
Right.
Allah is limitless, right? And he's bountiful, right? And so if I think that if somebody else does it, that I have just cut my foot off, no. So when I see someone successful, I'm like, oh, Allahu Akbar. This is an opportunity for me to be successful as well. Because
Right.
God is not the kind that he blesses on Monday and don't bless on Tuesday. He don't bless on
Right.
Friday and don't bless on Saturday. He's in the blessing business. And so if
That's
I am a
right.
steward of blessing others, then I should be the recipient of blessings from Allah. And so that integrity must be found in your business to be successful. I don't market. Um, Most time when I'm on social media, I'm just talking about blessings, and I guess that becomes marketing, or I'll share our blessings and becomes marketing. But I haven't posted like a flyer of our meeting in almost years. But I sell meat every week. I haven't even made a flyer yet of our horse rides and tours, but we're booked through December. My wife has been
Beautiful.
making the junior FY uniforms, for the past, I don't know, my son is 16 now. So his first one was he 3 months old. She's made uniforms every year, right? She pays her savings,
Mm.
they give him uniforms. And so business after business, from our publishing company to our daycare, um, our character is what has sold for us and been our
Mm-hmm.
greatest marketing tool. And so in your business, I encourage others to be yourself. My
Mm-hmm.
daily, or I'm saying my weekly reminder from my father, we talk every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Before
Beautiful.
that call ends, my dad says, in all your success, son, I want you to continue to be Pat. Don't be nobody
Mm-hmm.
else. Don't try to be
Mm-hmm.
nobody else. Don't emulate nobody else. I want you to be that same little innocent Pat in all of your success. And so
That's right.
that's the goal. Is every day to be ourselves, to treat each other the same way we want to be treated, to love others, and am I one that people could take advantage of because I'm a giver? Of course, but that's on their conscience. I
Right.
know my Allah is so merciful that if someone took advantage of our willingness to be nice and to help, that's just on them. That doesn't stop
That's
our
right.
blessings coming. So I'm gonna be nice to every person that I meet, time and time again.
Now I have a question. The name of your farm is Your Faith Farm, right? So,
Yes.
Brother Patrick, my question to you for all to hear is, how does Brother Patrick build his faith? In order for you to be able to have these ideas and be willing to move out on them, what do you do to feed your faith so that you can continue to take that step and know that Allah is going to bless you?
Mm, that's a phenomenal question. Um,
Praise be to Allah.
I would say I have to answer it in stages. I would say my faith, my personal faith, um, is rooted in my love, admiration, fear of God.
Mm,
Then I would say my faith is continued to be strengthened by my love, respect, and relationship with my wife. If we are helped meet,
beautiful.
then her desires become my desires, and my desires become her desires. And when you have someone who loves you unconditionally, then whatever condition that we're in, the love does not lessen. It's not, oh, I love you when we're doing good. I
Right.
love you good, bad, and or indifferent. And so
That's right.
when I have an idea and she listens to my idea, she doesn't listen to my idea and then it's like, oh, that ain't gonna work. She listens to my idea and becomes my help meet to see how can I bring my husband's idea into reality.
Beautiful.
When I hear her
Beautiful.
desires, her wishes, I don't hear them as, man, girl, that's crazy. I hear that is, how can I make my wife's desires, wishes, ambitions, and goals a reality? And so,
Beautiful.
see, we believe in, when we say our prayers, that we say our prayers, and when it gets to the personal part, we say ours out loud, right?
Mm.
So when she's having her moment with Allah, I'm sitting right there listening to it. When I'm having
Beautiful.
my moment with Allah, she's sitting there listening to it. And while we're waiting for the big Allah to bless us, my Allah next to me and her Allah next to her can show our power and work a miracle in our lives. Right?
Beautiful.
Because sometimes the things we ask for, we just need to reach out and grab it. But if you have that
That's right.
doubt, if you have that fear, then it is delayed. So, and then of course, being blessed to be on this planet at the same time with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's not about so much I wear the name Muhammad or I'm in the Nation of Islam. If you love truth,
Right.
you can hear with blinders on and the hardest heart the truth that comes from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. His truth is not dressed in any certain kind of uniform, color, decoration. His truth is truth. And his truth is Allah. And so I am a product of the Million Man March. And I'm proud to say that. I'm one of those that stood there, not as a Muslim. I stood at the Million Man March as a black man that was in college, born and raised in East St. Louis, had just crossed the burning sands of Alpha Phi Alpha. And I stood there on the mall, and this is my first time ever hearing of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan live. My Christian mother paid for me to go to the Million Man March. So I was there as a spectator.
Beautiful.
But the minister said, go back to your homes, go back to your churches, go back to your organizations and make them better. And so in that quest to do that, I was led to the Nation of Islam. And I am a product. So if you think that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a hater, is an evil man, is a dictator, but you have found that you are in love with the character of Patrick Muhammad, the principal, the educator, the entrepreneur, then just know I'm a product of him. So how could he be those things that the media has told you and you love a brother like me? So I am a product of the Million Man March in the Nation of Islam.
And it's funny that you said that because you actually segued into my next question. Since we just had the anniversary of the Million Man March. It was the 25-year anniversary of the Million Man March. During that time, I was a sophomore at Clark Atlanta University. I was not yet a registered believer in the Nation of Islam. I was still, just out there, just, in school. And it was actually a brother who I went to school with named Brother Karriemah who invited me out. But I remember when he was getting ready to leave, I said, no, you can't go. They're going to hurt y'all. I was just so afraid for him. And he says, no, I'll be fine. I promise you, I'll be back and I'll tell you all about it. And he did. He went and I watched it on TV and it was the most beautiful sight I have ever witnessed in my life. And what makes that event so special, one of many things, is the fact that the minister didn't say, go back, Brother Patrick, and become a registered believer in the Nation of Islam.
No,
he didn't say that.
He did not.
That was a choice that you made based upon a truth that you heard. Yes, but he could have, and I think a lot of people forget that he was the one that Allah inspired to call 1 million and 2 million men come and respond. And he could have used that platform to say, okay, now all of you register in the Nation of Islam, but he didn't do that. He said, you go back home to your communities, to whatever faith tradition that you're going to follow and start to serve your community. And so the question that I was going to ask you, Brother Patrick, that you kind of partially answered, in the spirit of the Million Man March, how do you see the work that you're doing now tie into the pledge that you made on the wall some 25 years ago.
Wow. Wow. I tell you this, you don't know what your future holds, right? And
Yes.
so standing on that mall, and look, let me tell you what I didn't know. Look at that. That's my 20-year-old daughter, right?
Beautiful.
So standing on that mall, I didn't know I was going to be blessed to be able to, with my wife, produce such a jewel, in my daughter. I didn't know that I'll have a 15-year-old son, and a 9-year-old that are my helpers in the cause, of truth. And so I didn't know I was going to be blessed with such an amazing wife. You know what I mean? So
Beautiful. Yes.
just following in the spirit of truth again, just following in that the opportunities that we've had, Sister Karriemah, and the things that we've done, I think a lot we're humble, because if we were kind of those, people who brag, I mean, we got something we could brag about. We look at them as blessings, but we have a
Right.
publishing company that we don't advertise, that we have over 500 authors in print, not five.
Awesome.
500 authors
500 authors.
that on my laptop, I personally produced 500 books, read through the books,
Awesome.
made the contracts with the companies, made the contracts with the illustrators, right? Before Facebook, we had a 15,000 member private community on Ning called Believers Only. Ning.com. I had
Yep.
15,000
I
people
remember
on
that.
Ning, right? That I could push a
I was
button and
on
say,
there.
give me $1, right? Right. So that was then. We've been able to produce junior FY uniforms that juniors wear all over the nation, right? So
Beautiful.
those are things that we're living on 31 acres and we have 20 horses. I have brothers at my house every day and sisters riding horses. I have volunteers here now, right? So those are things that we have done. If we were bragging, we could boast, but no, the blessing. So for the cup to run it over, you need to give back. So when I go
That's
find a
right.
horse, a reasonable price, I call a friend who won a horse. I got a horse for you. Come ride. So I see their children riding and their wives riding, and now we have couples riding. And that's
Beautiful.
why I know Allah continues to bless us. So, we didn't know what was going to come of the Million Man March. We didn't know what was going to come of me marrying MGT. We didn't know what was going to come of us, doing what we're doing. But I could tell you every day when my eyes crack and I can hear my rooster and see the sunrise, I know that Allah is smiling. And the more
Yes.
time we have in front of us is only going to be so much better than the time we have now.
And it brings me to my next question, Brother Patrick. And this is a question that even my husband and I had to ask. How do you find the time? How do you find the time to do everything that you're doing in your day? Because that's one thing about being a creative person and having that entrepreneurial spirit is to know what to move out on and what to kind of put down in that now journal. Another plug for my sister. To write down in your now journal of something that maybe you have to put off, for a later date and time. How do you determine what you're going to move out on and what you're just going to kind of hold on? Oh, you
Can you
there?
hear me? Uh-oh,
I
I hit
can
the
hear
wrong
you.
button.
We just can't see you.
Okay, hold on, I hit the wrong button. Okay,
Okay, here we go.
Hold on, your daughter is saying something to me. Say it again. You want to do a little more? Sure. Okay.
My daughter and her.
Yes. So she was just making sure I knew her assignment. So, Sister Karriemah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Did I lose you? Did I lose you? Sister Karriemah? It says everyone can see and hear you. Can you see and hear me? Yes. Sister Karriemah?
Still still okay. It looks like we're just coming in. Okay, we're coming back in. Here we go. If you have any questions, for those of you who we kind of lost for a hot second, if you have any questions for Brother Patrick, the principal farmer, I'll be sharing those questions with him momentarily after he answers this question. And I wanted to thank
Karriemah,
you
can you
for
hear me?
watching. I can
Can you
now.
hear
I was just kind of letting people know to drop their question for you.
Okay.
And so that way when we get to the Q&A section, I can make sure that I get it. But please, by all means, continue.
Okay, I wanted to finish that question. I think that's a key
Yes,
question.
sir.
And the way I'll answer that, sister, is when you enjoy what you're doing, there's no such thing called time.
Mm.
So I think in my experience, what limits us is that we are still trying to use a Western time and not a universal time.
Okay, what
Because
do you mean by
Allah
that?
is the author of the universe. And so Allah's inspiration does not come on Western time. Allah's inspiration comes on a universal time. So if Allah
Mm.
wakes you up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't tell Allah, I need you to wait for Western time. You
Right.
have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and start on that inspiration. Inspiration, right? Inspiration does not have a clock. And so when you enjoy what you're doing, when you're doing inspiring what you're doing, then you should be doing that at all times, not on Western time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, but even with that, Brother Patrick, and it's not to take away from what you just shared, because what you just shared was truly, I mean, those were jewels. However, when you have someone who sincerely has just an overabundance of ideas, how do you shortlist those ideas to determine what you're, even if it's determining the sequence in which you're going to roll out your ideas?
Yes. So now in that, you might have 10 ideas. Okay. So you know how you hear low hanging fruit.
Okay.
So what you want to do is those things that you can get the quick win, go ahead and knock those out. So if it's an ebook and it's 10 pages, it shouldn't take you 10 months, right? So lock
Okay.
yourself down on your time, your universal time. You spend 2 days, you knock out those 10 pages, you get your cover, you upload it. That one's off your list. Okay. But
Gotcha.
you don't try to do the 15 chapter book, or you don't try to do the buy the warehouse at the same time, because those things will take you more time. So you do it
Right.
based on the amount of time that it needs to take to get it done, and then get it done and get it over with. And so
Gotcha.
what happens is we try to, say bite off more than you can chew. What happens is we're trying to do too much that takes too much time too often. But if you do those little small victories consistently, right? So if I do 10 small things consistently, right? Now I have 10 things completed where some people still trying to do one. I'll give you another prime example. When people say, oh, when I get my money right, I'm going to get married. I've been married 21 years. My money still ain't right. But I've been married for 21 years. Right? If I was waiting to get my money right, I'd be single for 21 years.
Wow.
Okay.
And there are
So
some people
those
who
things
have
that you can
been.
get done, get them done.
And there are some people out there who have been still waiting to get their money right. And lonely. Now, when we're talking about the land, what would you consider to be some of those low-hanging fruits that you mentioned a little earlier? Would it be, well, from the items that you mentioned, what are the low-hanging fruit?
The low hanging fruit for me, one has been the concept of the farmer's market.
Okay.
So a farmer's market on a farm, basically whatever product that you have. So for me, it was meat and vegetables, but for some people, it could be pecans or whatever. So when I was going to the farmer's market, I realized they were paying $25 per vendor to be there. And so I was like, wow, they just used a parking lot. So I created my own farmers market at my house. And now
Awesome.
people, they paid me $25 to have the booth, and I sold my meat. Right. So, but what I'm saying is that is sometimes you have to think outside the dirt. So when I see something, if I was buying horses and taking them to a place and they were keeping my horse and I was paying them, but I got 31 acres. I was like, that don't make no sense. Let me build what they build. So I'm building 20 stalls. Right. So if you begin to think and let Allah give you the inspiration and then act on it instantly. Don't wait. You know, we want to wait. I got to get everything. That's what I love about Brother Ben and his program. Don't wait till it's perfect. The earth is not perfect. It's a wobble in its nature. Y'all know how long we've been on the earth? If we were waiting for the earth to be perfect, we would never be in existence. Right? So some things are imperfect, and over evolution, they perfect themselves. So some of your ideas are imperfect. Go ahead and bring them to fruition. My buddy right here in front of me is starting a horse trail business. He got a horse. He didn't have a truck. Now he got a truck. Right? He had a horse. Now he got a truck. He didn't have a trailer. He's going to get a trailer. Right?
Awesome.
So now he got a horse, a truck, a trailer. He got a horse trail business. And saddles. And within 30 days. Now, if he was saying, brother, I got to wait until I got to figure out how to, okay, well, there's money on the table and you're losing.
Right.
There's money on the table, you could be winning. So in your life, in your business, in your circumstance, what low-hanging fruit can you get done this week? What low-hanging fruit can you get done by the end of 2020? What low-hanging fruit can you get done before you finish your college degree? I made money in college, you all. I played basketball. I was a star point guard in college. Do y'all know at halftime, I had a team of friends that sold chew sticks, incense, and buttons during halftime. I'm in the locker room getting the play for the second half. I'm making money in the stands. Do you hear what I'm saying? Right. So if you're waiting, then it's not going to happen. I know how to go to pawn shops and put something on the layaway and put it on eBay and don't have no money and get people to buy it on eBay. Then I go buy it from the pawn shop and I ship it to them. Right. So I know how to make money with no money. But if you wait, if I get a loan, if I get approved from Wells Fargo, if Bank of America approved, man, come on now. Y'all don't think that Allah defeated the impossible when he created himself? You have the greatest gift of anything ever in creation. You have Allah's mind and his brain.
That's right.
If you do nothing with it, then he's worthy of taking it back.
To whom much is given, much is required. We are here with Brother Patrick, the principal farmer, right here on BBI Talks. And it's somewhat of a relaxed conversation that we're having for those of you who are on Instagram. I know you can hear him, but you can't see him. However, feel free to join me at Prof, P-R-O-F, Karriemah, K-A-R-R-I-E-M-A-H, Lotus, L-O-T-U-S. And you can actually see him walking around. You can see some of his property as he pans his camera on his property. It's beautiful. I would highly recommend that you have a moment, put on your mask, put on your gloves, grab your hand sanitizer, and head on out to Your Faith Farms. And of course, you need to call in advance. Don't just show up on his property, but call in advance and schedule your horseback riding lesson or ride. My husband and I plan on going up there over the weekend, so feel free to join us. We're going to call. Go ahead and let them know Lotus sent you, and let's go for a ride together and let's talk. How about that? Sounds good.
And Sister Karriemah, if I get one more plug, and it's not a plug for me, but it's a plug for us as a community. I would encourage, just like you and your husband have done, we have to buy land. The freedom and the level of peace that comes when you own land is limitless. I just had a brother out here who was dealing with some things, and but it took us 2 hours to even get to the horseback ride. Just the level of peace. I didn't know something that I experienced until I didn't know it. It's something called noise pollution. So in the cities, we have become numb to the noise pollution of a city. The sirens, the horns, the barking dogs, the neighbors, the doors slamming, the doors opening, the car zooming down the road. Well, we don't have that. My noise is, did you hear that bird? Ooh, that was a different bird. Oh my goodness. I can hear the wings of that owl. Oh my, can you see the wind? I can see the wind blowing through it's a coyote. Oh, look at the little worm. Our noise is nature. And nature does not have a stinging noise. Nature
Right.
has a soothing, relaxing noise. And
Yes.
so when you can get away to where you can appreciate that level, then those stressors, the high blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke.
Tension headaches.
That's why the farmers are 100 years old. Man, my granddaddy was on the farm. He was 120, because the quality of life is different because we slow down to nature's pace and
That's
not
right.
man's pace.
Absolutely.
And those are those unwritten things.
And you know what, Brother Patrick, I just want to say this, and I appreciate what you're sharing, but there's everybody has a why. And there was something that I learned many years ago when Minister Louis Farrakhan first rolled out the Up with Jesus, Down with Santa boycott of Christmas shopping, right? Or holiday spending. He said, unless you are spending your money with Black-owned businesses. And one of the things that I realized during that time, whereas I thought that all of these industries were oversaturated with tons of people selling the same products, offering the same services, when we were restricted to only buying with our own, like you said, the open fields await the wide awake man and woman to work out in, I realized how many areas, how many industries we as a community can venture off into. And so I made it a part of my mission to help us find us so we can spend our money with us. And that's why I don't have a problem telling people what you do or any other Black-owned business that is striving hard to provide their products and services with a presentation of Black excellence. Because I don't promote everything. Let's be clear.
Yes,
but for those who don't meet the standard, that's why we're offering the training. That's why we're offering BBI talks, so that we can elevate you to where you need to be, so that we can share information about your business for everyone to patronize. You just may not be ready for that right now. But for those that are, we have to spread the word. We are charged with spreading the word about our businesses so that we can make it easier for us to find one another. So that's just my little soapbox, brother. I had to share that because it's important that we tell each other what each other does so that we can spend our money with ourselves. Because I don't care if it's the Trump or the Biden. It don't matter. Hear me clearly. It don't matter. If we are not taking our own destiny in our own hands, we're going to lose either way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what now, you just shared in that. Go ahead.
No, I just want to give you this question, and I want you to go ahead and say what you're going to say, but I just want to put this question on your mind. Sister Rochelle's Cuisine says that she understands about your faith farm sells meat. What kind do you sell, and how can she purchase? See, this is beautiful. This is what I'm talking about, building that Black ecosystem.
Awesome. We sell grass-fed beef and grass-fed lamb. Everything is raised right here on our property. And then we sell it to families. We sell it, individual pieces. We sell it quarter, half, and whole. What I will encourage you all to do is there's about to be a serious meat shortage. And I'm not saying this to pump no business, right? The meat shortage is because of the pandemic, that the processing plants are closing down. And so the large farmers, they can't process. So what happens is now you have an abundance of cows who were being raised to go to slaughter that can't go to slaughter because the processing plants can't. So the large farmers that are monocrop farmers, meaning they only do black cow, they only do brown cow, they only do corn, they'll go ahead and cause the demise of that product for the insurance. So they don't mind
Wow.
just killing the cows and using insurance
Mm,
money. Well, that means that meat that was raised is not going into the U.S. supply chain, so there's a meat shortage.
right.
So if you do have the ability to store meat, I would say buy from farmers like me. Buy your family a quarter cow, a half a cow, a whole lamb, and put it in your freezer. I'm not saying buy it and then have the biggest barbecue in the community. I'm saying buy it, put it in your freezer, so when times are lean, you can pull it out. So now it sounds like our survival again. You pull it out, but you have to have a dog. Why you gotta have a dog? Because you need to take the manure from that dog, you need to burn it outside your door so people smell the foul odor so you can eat that good steak inside. Because when the famine comes and you got meat, you got bread, you got milk, they're coming. But if you don't know how to disguise, how to protect, or how to grow, or how to store, then you're going to be in a bad situation. So, yes, you can go to yourfaithfarms.com and you send an email and you can place your order for meat. Likewise with our vegetables. But more importantly, you need to begin to store food in your homes.
Awesome. Awesome. And it's funny because we will, right now we're on our Green Gold series, Big Brother, but we will be moving into a series entitled On the Brink of Famine. So we're going to be talking about this, and I would love for you to come back during that series to kind of share some of the things from a survival point of view.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe even have your wife with the canning. That would be awesome for her to kind of talk about that as well, if you don't mind. But I think it's important that we, discuss these things and have a real clear plan. The other thing is there's a brother who has a business where he also sells organically grown, or I think they call it Clean 15 certified food that delivers. And so it's important that we know that these types of businesses in our communities exist that we can patronize. I have another question from our Facebook family. They're asking, is there a community of Black landowners that you are a member of, or that or a community of new landowners that one can join to benefit from lessons that you've learned, as well as other Black landowners and farmers?
As far as the community, we kind of just, Wayne Swanson and I, you can connect to us and we're going to tell you everything we know, right? There's a couple different Facebook groups that I've seen on our YouTube channel and on Wayne's YouTube channel. We literally do lessons. Pardon me. But collectively, it's not a lot of us that are doing it. I'm not saying we're the only game in town. I'm just saying there's not 5,000 Black farmers. Like, I'm not saying it's that in abundance. It's a small number. And since we've been here 6 years, there's 12 more families that are living on farms from just the encouragement of visiting, our respective farms. So currently there's not a group, but if you follow any of our social media, when we do find groups, we do share it. There is a new land acquisition group that I'm familiar with, Supreme Investors. I believe that's it. Supreme Investors that are gathering people who are interested. But currently, I don't know of a large collective outside of a Facebook group right now.
Awesome. Awesome information. Okay. Are there any questions on Instagram? Because we're about to bring this conversation to a close. We've kept the principal farmer for an hour now, and I don't want to take up too much of his time because I know he has so many things that he has to focus on. And I appreciate you even taking this hour out of your time, Brother Patrick, to speak with me here on BBI Talks. Did you have any closing words on the topic of thinking outside the dirt, profiting from your land, that you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
Again, I would like to say thank you to you and your family for all that you have done and the connection that you all have been to our family from the years of the relationship. And I just pray that the bounties of Allah and the desires of your respective hearts is brought into the immediate fruition. The more and more you're in tune with Allah, then when you have an idea and a desire, the distance and time that goes from that thought to reality is how close you are to Allah. And so when you begin to see that synapses close and its idea reality, then you're becoming one with Allah. And so
that's right.
To all your listeners, I pray that whatever the righteous desires of their heart, when you have that idea and that push from Allah, that's it. Don't look for the next thing. When you get it, go. Right? And so I'll say it like this. You know, we used to skip class and they say the teacher ain't looking and you got to go in. You can't, if you wait, she gonna turn around. Right? So when opportunities are right there, don't play double dutch. Should I jump in? Should I jump in? Go, go. When it's your turn, you got to go. So whatever those ideas, those desires, those gifts, those talents that you've been sitting on, it's time to go. And if you take that mentality, then you begin to see more victories than failures.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Brother Patrick. I know first, Amin, for the prayers. And we truly pray the same for you and for your family, that Allah continue to bless you and your children for generations to come. And I want to thank all of you who have chosen today to watch BBI Talks during our Green Gold series. I pray, matter of fact, I already know that you got some jewels today, y'all. But I just pray that you were able to hear them, to receive them, and be in the spirit of mind to implement them. And I look forward to next Wednesday's edition. You will never guess who we have, Brother Patrick. We have the food revolutionary himself, Baba Rashid Nouri, the great urban agricultural advocate. And so that is how we're going to conclude this series. I want to thank everybody who was a part of this series, from Sister Kelly, who's selling land in Ghana, this oceanfront property for less than $10,000. Last week, we had Brother Reginald Muhammad, who is the professor of reparations, and he is going to be back, but he just laid that case for reparations. This week, having Your Faith Farms with thinking outside of the dirt, profiting from your land. And then, of course, next week, we're concluding the Green Gold series with Baba Rashid Nouri of the Nouri Group, who is indeed the quintessential food revolutionary. Please continue to follow me on Prof. Karriemah Lotus on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Thank you, Instagram family, for checking me out. BBI Talks, Professor Karriemah Lotus. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Thank you. Peace. Peace.